As you can see, everything comes bare root. Now I'm going to show you guys how to plant things that plants and trees that come bare root, but we'll go into that shortly. YouTube, what's going on, guys? My name is Mike and I'm back with another video, and today I have a pretty cool one for you guys. We have some fruit trees in this box. I ordered this from Stark Bros Nursery, and they're in Louisiana, but they ship all over the US, and they have a great selection of stuff. So let's go ahead, let's open this box up and I'll show you guys what I got in here. Let's check it out. Okay, so I got you guys placed right over a stump here. This box is pretty long. It's hard to get it all in the frame, but let's start popping these staples open so I can show you exactly what we have. Okay, so I got the box opened up, and everything comes kind of in a bunch. They use like a wet paper to keep the tree's root system pretty moist and saturated, so that they don't die in transit. But as you can see, everything comes bare root. Now I'm going to show you guys how to plant things that plants and trees that come bare root. It's a little bit different than if you were planting something that was already potted in soil. But we'll go into that shortly. So let me just go over really quickly what we have here. So I ordered a Cassina filbert hazelnut tree. This is a hazelnut, and from what I read is hazelnuts like to go in pairs. They need to pollinate, two to pollinate. So this is another a Barcelona filbert hazelnut. So we have two different types. What else I ordered here is the Ever Sweet strawberry. So it comes in a bundle of 25. I can see that things are starting to mold in here a little bit, but it shouldn't be too big of a deal because these are still dormant. So they're actually just starting to grow, new growth. But this is all of the roots. What we're gonna wanna do is soak this stuff in water, and I'll show you guys how we do that when we get to it. So let's just hustle through this so nothing dies. Next, what I have is an elderberry bush. So this is the elderberry bush. It's pretty cool how the root system comes. We're gonna wanna soak all of this stuff in some water just to rehydrate it, get it ready before we transplant it into the ground. And finally, last but not least, we have raspberries. So I ordered two types of raspberries. This one is the Heritage Red Raspberry, and it comes in a bundle of 3. And this is the Allen Black Raspberry, which is pretty cool. It looks like a blackberry, but it's really a raspberry. I saw some pictures of it. I've never had either of these before, so it's gonna be a surprise how they taste. But they have phenomenal reviews, and I love raspberries, so they should be pretty good. So yeah, let's go ahead, let's get this stuff in buckets of water so that they can start soaking, and I'll go over what we're gonna do to plant these. All right, guys, stay tuned. Okay, guys, so what I did was I just filled up some buckets of water and I put the bare roots into the water itself. Now the website recommends that you soak the trees for about 1 hour to 2 hours in water. The bush is about ½ hour to 1 hour in water. So all I did was just, like as you guys can see, I filled it with water and just stuck the bare roots right into the water to soak. What this is going to do is it's going to wake up the plant, it's going to rehydrate it and get it ready for planting to give it the best chance of survival when it goes from a bare root setting, dormant setting, to in soil and warmer weather to be woken up into the growing season. So in the meantime, while these are soaking, let's talk about nutrients and preparing our holes to plant these into. All right, so it's drizzling a little bit right now. So I have us under the overpass with the chickens. So we'll have a little bit of an audience if you guys don't mind. But all right, so let's talk about nutrients. So what I have here is just a wheelbarrow. I went and I grabbed a couple scoops of the good garden soil that I made. This is just compost, peat moss, and some stone. Nothing crazy about this. The key ingredient is the compost. That's going to have most of your nutritional value. The peat moss adds airiness and lightness to it, and the stone adds drainage. So real easy. You guys can do that at home, or you can source your own soil. We're going to be using a mix or a blend of the native soil that's already out in the yard, and we're going to use half of this. So we're going to do a half and half. I'm going to amend this now, and then I'll actually take the native soil, mix this all in so it just becomes nice and airy, light, and fluffy. I have some clay, a little bit of clay soil around here. So this is just gonna make it easier for the new roots to kind of grow out and encourage new growth toward the native soil. So, okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the nutrients that I'm gonna be blending in, or the amendments I'm gonna be blending into my soil. So first of all, I get these from Down to Earth. These are all natural organic fertilizers, OMRI approved, so they're pretty good stuff. I really enjoy these. You can find these down in the description below. I only really order these from Amazon. I can't find them anywhere around me locally. It seems like they're all West Coast, but Amazon will deliver them, go figure. So that's where I get them. You guys can find them down in the link below. So number one, I love crab meal. Crab meal I add to almost all of my soil blends that I make. So as you can see, the crab meal is a little bit granulated, which is good because it's slow to break down. It has calcium, it has nitrogen, it has phosphorus, not much potassium, but it's a really good all-around amendment to add to any soil you're going to be using, whether it's for vegetables, trees, anything. It's awesome stuff. So I recommend putting some crab meal in there. Next, I like to use kelp. Now, kelp is a great source of nitrogen. It also has a ton of micronutrients. So all your small little nutrients that your plant doesn't need much of, but it certainly does need. This is also pretty granulated stuff. I love to add this. I like to make a lot of teas out of this as well. So I'll soak this in water. Matter of fact, I might go and drop this in the water over there with the roots, because this stuff breaks down and it's pretty water soluble, and a lot of the micronutrients unlock when you add water to it. So you can add it to the soil like I'm going to be doing. You can soak it in water and feed it to your plants, but I love using kelp for almost everything. Now that's a must. And lastly, I'm not going to use much of it, but I'm going to be adding some oyster shell. I get it from the same company. This is just ground up oyster shell. This is more of a powder form, and like I said, I'm not using much of this, but I definitely want to add some of it just to add the micro and macronutrients like calcium to the soil. So like I said, I'm just going to do a little bit of a sprinkle of this stuff, not using much of it, but it definitely helps with the plant sourcing those micronutrients. And lastly, one of the final, I guess you can call this a amendment as well, that I love to add directly to the roots is the Mycorrhizae fungi. So Mycorrhizae fungi, I've spoken about it in other videos. I'll leave a link up here. But this is a great fungal inoculant that creates a beneficial symbiotic relationship with the plant root and the fungal spore that will then reach out into the soil to find moisture, nutrients, and bring that back to the plants, trade it for sugars and starches that the plant creates using photosynthesis. So this is going to help the plant find phosphorus. Phosphorus is a pretty hard, insoluble nutrient that is necessary for plants to grow. The mycorrhizal fungi helps decompose and unlock that for the plant. So like I said, you could find all this stuff down in the link below. I'm going to list all this on Amazon. You could that's where I typically get it from. You could probably find it at local sources as well if you want to go that route, but I find Amazon's pretty easy. So let's go ahead and mix this stuff up, and then we will get to prepping our holes to plant the plants in. So let's do that. Okay guys, so this is where we're going to be planting the elderberry bush. And so what I did was I just sprinkled some of that same mixture in, the crab, the oyster shell, and the kelp meal in the bottom of this hole. And what I did was I kind of broke the soil up pretty good. This way, when we do put our bare roots in, we'll be able to just push this in around the bare roots and wiggle it into place. So I'll show you guys how we do that when we get there. Okay guys, so here we are. We have the elderberry bush. So what we're going to do is, as you can see, this is bare roots. This is what bare roots look like. They come out of the box just like this, wrapped up in newspaper like you saw earlier. Still little bits of newspaper on it, but all that it will decompose, so it's okay if there's still some stuff on there. So what we're going to do, and what's very important, is when you're digging your hole, you want to make sure your hole is about double the size of what the root system is. So as you can see, I have about double the width of the hole all the way around. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dust the mycorrhizae fungi over the root system, just like so. Make sure it all gets on there, and any extra that misses, it goes into the hole. So very easy. We're gonna put the roots down in the hole, and you want to kind of make them so they're gonna go out. You want the roots to go out. You don't want them to kind of bind in a circle. So we're gonna just stuff them all the way around. Make sure none of them are going in a pattern that looks like it's gonna be wrapped up. So that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the position of the plant itself. And we're gonna backfill the hole. Now, I mixed some of that amendment that I had, and I also added some of the nicer, lighter, fluffier soil. But we're gonna save most of that for the trees. These bushes are pretty hardy. They find their own way. I'm not so worried about having a clay soil for them, but the hazelnut trees themselves, I do want to make sure that I'm giving them the best possible chance to take. I've never grown hazelnut before, so it's a first for me. But this elderberry bush is going to do just fine. Give it a little wiggle, let the soil find its way. Very gentle. Okay, so that's how you get a berry bush in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to water this in really good. Maybe put some more soil around the base of it. You don't want to step on it too crazy, because don't forget, this is bare root, but you want to tamp it down a little bit. And when we water it in, the water will help the soil get in between all those little nooks and crannies that we didn't do by just putting soil over it. So we'll water that in really good. And matter of fact, I have the bucket of water that this came from, so let's do that now. You want to go nice and easy. You want to let that water soak into the roots. You don't want it just run away. So a little bit at a time. This is a very important process. And you'll know when the water's soaking in good. It'll kind of sound like a sponge, or you'll hear the air bubbles kind of pushing out. Like if you've ever been to the beach and when the ocean comes up and hits the sand, you can hear that, like the air escaping the sand. That's what you're going to listen for here. It's the same concept. And we'll come back around and we'll give that the rest of the bucket of water. I'll leave this bucket here and let that soak in. Okay, so what we have here now is the bare root raspberry. So this one is the Heritage Red. So that one's the Carolina Red. This is the Heritage Red. And then I have the Allen Blackberry, the Allen Black Raspberry. So it's not a blackberry, but it's a black raspberry, which is pretty cool. So what I think I'm gonna do is, because I have those two Carolina Reds, I'll put the Allen Black Raspberry in the middle, and then I'll put these Heritage Reds, so we have red, black, red, which I think would be a pretty cool contrast, and it'll help me identify them when we're picking the berries to eat. So that'll be fun. So that's how I'll do that. We'll plant these Allen Black Raspberries in the middle here. So let's go ahead and do that now. It'd be really helpful if you guys go ahead and like and subscribe, and if you really like it, share it with a friend. That's super helpful for me. That's like a direct way of sharing the content, the content in the channel. So much appreciated, guys. So same old thing. We're gonna dust these with the Mycorrhizae Fungi. We're gonna set them in the trench here, fill them back in. I have some of the better soil that I mixed with the amendments, and we're going to be off to the races with these. So let's do that now. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. I hope you got something out of it. You learned something today. Bare root planting is not hard. It's really easy, so don't feel intimidated by it just because you might not have seen it or it's not very popular. It's got really great benefits. You just have to follow the rules. Make sure that you don't you soak them in when you get them. Soak them in water. Make sure you plant them deep enough and that you give them a good covering with soil. Shake them in a little bit. Make sure you soak them and water them really good afterward, and they'll be off to the races. So don't worry about it. You know, it's not rocket science. Just start it, do it, fail. If you do fail, make an adjustment and try it again. That's how we all learn. So I hope that you guys really like this video. If you did like it, hit the like button. That helps spread it around. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. And if you really did like it and you really want to help me out, share it with a friend. Send it to somebody you know, someone that might be interested in planting bare root plants or getting started with their own little permaculture food forest. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.